Andrew Allemann joins me at NamesCon 2016. Andrew, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Kevin. Great to see you as well.
This is our third NamesCon. It's third in general, but our third appearance as well. And tell me how this has been compared to the other two, or conferences in general.
It's amazing what they've been able to do with this conference. Right now we're sitting in an exhibit floor that's bigger than anything I think I've seen at a domain conference in many, many years. And it's just really phenomenal just seeing the energy here. Over 1,000 people, and a lot of people that I haven't seen in years, right? There are a lot of new faces here, which is neat, but then there are a lot of people that I saw 4, 5, 6 years ago at domain conferences that have come back out for this. So I think it's been a phenomenal conference.
You run and operate Domain Name Wire, domainnamewire.com. You're the chief editor, blogger, reporter, I like to call you. Tell me more about your day-to-day and what your goal is within the industry.
So I started Domain Name Wire almost 11 years ago now, 2005. And at the time, there were no blogs covering the business of domain names. Ron Jackson had his excellent DN Journal, but that wasn't really a daily site. You know, he's got those excellent news reports and updates, but it wasn't sort of a breaking news and analysis site. So there were forums and there weren't really any blogs. So I started Domain Name Wire. So now it's 11 years later, almost 10,000 posts later. And really there are a number of purposes to it and a number of reasons people will come there. I have kind of the daily news, I have sales reports, a lot of analysis of UDRP cases so people can understand what to do, what not to do with their domain names to prevent that from happening. And I've also recently, I also have a newsletter which goes out, and a lot of people aren't familiar with that. It goes out at least once a month. You can sign up on the site. And then a little over a year ago, I started a podcast,
That's right.
which as of now, here in January of 2016, I'm up to about episode 66. That's
awesome.
a weekly podcast you can download on Stitcher or iTunes on your phone. And that's been a lot of fun to go really in depth with a lot of people in the industry. Recent guests like Paul Stahura, CEO of Donuts, hearing his whole story dating back to the 90s, how he got into domain names. Elliot Noss, the CEO of Two Cows, also a fascinating story how that company went from a download site to what it is now, a domain name company and mobile operator, broadband. And then a lot of successful domainers as well, telling their story, where they think opportunities are now as well.
That's awesome. I didn't realize you had done that many, but it seems like just the other day that you started that. I remember when you started the audio component.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's been very rewarding.
Congratulations. You're one of the hardest working media outposts in the domain space. I did some quick math. You're posting like 3 posts a day on average, usually more, I would think. I love how you incorporate the business angle, but also the legal angle as well. Not many people are doing that. Can you tell us about some advice that you would give some of the newer domainers, people entering into the space? Words of wisdom or advice?
Sure. Well, from the legal perspective, first of all, I'm not a lawyer. So
disclaimer.
I just play one on my blog.
Yeah, right.
No. I just say, understand the cybersquatting laws. You know, understand the rules out there before you jump head in. You know, I get a lot of people, I'm sure, well, you're the same, right? You run a site where you help people sell domain names, but a lot of people will send you a list, and they're like, hey, I've got all these great domains, or people tweet at me, hey, I just got a tweet yesterday, I've got these great Periscope domains. How can I sell them? Well, if you're thinking Periscope as in the app and the tool, you're looking at a trademark situation, right? So I just caution people about that. And then the other thing, I was just having a conversation actually with PayChild, who has a lot of great content and thoughts in this industry. And we're talking about something that we see a lot, which is people jump in, they register 1,000 domains the first month, they spend $10,000 on hand registrations, and then they don't sell anything. So I'd say start slow, figure it out as you go, and understand that you're going to waste some money figuring things out.
Yeah.
So if you're judicious about how you waste that money, I mean, I have domains I still have in my account where I'm like, what was I ever thinking?
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to make money from this. So I would just kind of start slow and learn. I think there are a lot of great sites you can learn from. Name Pros being one, Domain Name Wire, Elliot's Domain Investing blog. Domain Shane has good analysis of what's sold and what's coming up. There are a lot of great resources out there. Just read a lot and soak it all in. And I also tell people it's good to have a healthy dose of skepticism, too.
Yeah, you mentioned NamePros. I mean, we're here with them in partnership. Tell us about your involvement in the forum and how,
I'm embarrassed to say that I used to be very involved in forums, and then I became less involved. And frankly, I kind of rediscovered NamePros just from reading it over the past 6 months or so. Haven't been a very active participant, but they've done a great job bringing in some content, creating what I think is a good productive forum. I think there was a stage with forums where it just started to become unproductive. A lot of shouting back and forth and that sort of thing. It happens on the blog too. There's a lot of shouting back and forth with comments, and as a blogger, I can understand the challenge of running a forum, although forums to a different level, right? It's all user-generated content, but it's difficult. But I think if you put energy into it as a user, you can get a lot out of it as well.
The sea change of the industry, especially in the last 3 to 6 months or so, how has that affected what you're covering? Obviously, you're covering a lot of China, the Chinese market, the Chinese buyers, the trends, the short characters, numerics, etc. You have people that contribute with sales reports and whatnot. But has that changed your own buying behavior or selling behavior as a domain investor? And
not personally. It's hard to fully know, and we won't know. We can only look back on hindsight where we are in this cycle with short domains and Chinese domains. A lot of it just, how sustainable is it without understanding the people directly involved in China? And I've been trying to figure that out. I've been trying to figure out, okay, exactly what's making people tick. But the exciting thing to me about it is I met a gentleman earlier this week at this conference who started domaining in 2013, and now he's doing it full time and making good money from it. And a lot of it is not taking advantage, that's the wrong word, but understanding this Chinese market. He dug into it. And that to me is what's exciting, that everyone said you had to register domains in the 90s to really make it. There's no way to make money anymore. And then Frank Schilling proved that wrong in the early 2000s. And then parking died and it was like, oh, well, if you didn't get in, and now here's someone just a couple years ago who gets in and he's doing it full time. And very few people in this industry do it full time. I don't domain full time. The blog is kind of more my full time passion. So I think they're exciting times. And I suggest people be skeptical, especially if someone's yelling about how much money they're making, because why would they do that? They should just go do it, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity out there. So it gets me excited. It's exciting to see money flowing through in a way that we didn't expect. And I think it's helping some new top-level domain name companies as well. It's giving a select few that had the foresight to pay attention to China early a good boost. So that's great to see as well.
Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to this coming year in the space?
It's a tough question. I had my predictions podcast earlier this month, and there are lots of predictions about China continuing, new TLDs starting to come out. I mean, I'm certain that new top-level domain names will only continue to grow in awareness, right? It's very, Taryn from Right Side always, CEO Taryn Anu always says, I can promise you that it's the awareness is only going to grow, and it's right, because right now it's pretty nominal, right? But we're starting to see more and more use of domain names. Whether or not that makes it a good opportunity for domain name investors or not, that's a tougher question. And I think we'll also see a lot of consolidation amongst these new top-level domain name companies as well. Some of the one-off companies that only have one, I don't know how sustainable that model will be. A few of them obviously are doing great, but others, I think they'll start to sell to companies like Donuts and Right Side. We already saw just this week, Minds and Machines picked up .Boston from the Boston Globe, which was really interesting. I understand why they did that, but so I'm excited to see some of that. That's one category of new TLDs that excites me, the geo domains. .NYC, .London, I bought a number of .Miamis. I just think when it comes to awareness, you can create awareness within a specific geographic zone more easily than broadly across the universe, across Earth, about an individual name. So.
Oh, those are great insights and interesting predictions as well. I think that sounds Sounds pretty apt to me. So
We'll see. But it's being recorded, so we'll see if I was accurate.
We'll come back next year. You were wrong about everything. And
well, it's funny. Someone looked back at my previous year's predictions episode podcast, and they're like, no one really mentioned China on it. So it just goes to show how it is difficult to understand what's going to happen, and that's why you need to pay attention. You need to check out name pros, domain name wire, all these sites, and see what's happening, and jump on those opportunities early on.
Well, we look forward to talking to you again, and
absolutely.
I hope to come back on your podcast and chat with you.
I'd love to have you back on. You're a great guest.
Great to be there. Thank you. Thanks for being with us, Andrew.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin.